Hey, Jason Rice here. Lot Party quick tip. Man, I miss my office. I want to get in there. I think I'm going to be there next week. I was supposed to be there today or yesterday, but they pushed it off to the 11th. So we'll get there soon, hopefully. And we're out here. I just did an interview and a podcast. And one of the topics that were brought up was a good topic was the fact of trade-in evaluations and trade-in values right now. And, I think they're going to be a little bit tricky, and communication is going to be very important right now. And I'm going to be messing with my screen here. I want to see if I can make sure I catch anybody that's chatting on the live part, because I'd like to get some feedback on this too. I know I'm going to have a little bit of a delay, and there we go. Let's see if anything pops up here. Let me know if you're here in the comments. Looks like I'm seeing some people type in, hey, Ron, hey, Anderson. What's up, sir? Back at the used car manager group. But anyways, so I was on this podcast, and we're talking about trade-in evaluations, and it's going to be really important in communications. Communication is definitely going to be real important. And again, I'm talking about how you communicate with customers right now via text, email, and phone. Because, before, when we sat down with the customer, or at least even when we meet and greet, you get that body language, you get to see their eyes and their expressions. And it's so tough when you can only communicate through phone, text, or email to see that stuff. And especially when you sit down and start going over numbers. When you get a customer and you present trade-in evaluations, and they kind of step back, cross their legs, cross their arms, look at you angrily, very angrily. And those are the indicators that let you know where you kind of stand in your deal. And I bring this up, the fact, and on my experience, I started in the retailing in 97. In 1998, I was doing internet leads, and I always had no problem at all selling a car off the internet or off the phone. You always got those people that say you can't sell a car over the phone. You can't sell a car over the internet. I did it all the time back in the 90s and early 2000s. Had no problem with that. And I had just open communications with customers to the point where, I could share some screenshots. I know I did a workshop for Auto Success convention back in, I think, 2005. And back then, I had invoice on my new car, on my website, on my new car SRP and VDP pages. I did that for open communications with consumers, because they would, come to my site and then leave my site to go to Kelley Blue Book to find invoice amount. And the Kelley Blue Book invoice amount didn't include the 2% we're paying in dealer advertising. And so that invoice versus my invoice were totally different. And it doesn't mean I was going to sell it to them for invoice, but I get invoice pricing on my website, and then I could easily tell a customer, hey, we do 500 over invoice, and they knew what my pricing was. So the communication was very easy. And so when we were talking about in this podcast today about trade-in evaluations, like, how can you overcome that? Not sitting in front of a customer, not going back and forth. You don't get to see if they're mad, what kind of reactions you're getting, but because they might be going online to Kelley Blue Book or even Carvana trade-in values or what have you, and those numbers might still be pretty high comparably to what you're willing to give for it, because wholesale value, those sites rely on wholesale historical data, which might not have caught up to what the cars are really going for. And again, right now, wholesale data, if 100 cars are running and only 20 sell for 10 grand, are they worth 10 grand really when 80 no sales are happening? So, the values you're willing to pay on a trade-in versus what the consumer might have done their research and think their cars are worth is going to be an uphill battle. Again, that's where on my live here, we advertised 300 back at Triple Net at Ford. I was reading Rodden's comment. I'd like some feedback in here. What kind of things you're doing to help overcome it? One of the things I talked about in the podcast, just some of my suggestions on the top of my head were, one, I would grab probably a couple articles that are out there, either by Wall Street Journal or some business magazines or newspaper, maybe even local newspapers that may be covering the impact that used car and the auto industry is taking right now. I would grab some of those headlines to share with consumers so they understand kind of what why they might be seeing lower values, to back up why you might be giving them a lower value than what they're seeing. The other thing is, obviously, you can do, run some MMR transactional data and some examples. I know like in vAuto, you can go, when you do an appraisal, look at transactions, and you can export those and share that with the customer and say, hey, look, here's 5 of them that just went through the lane over the last 7 days, and this is what they went for, along with the articles to help back up what, again, the values you might be giving them, because the values they see online might not match. And then put those values may be higher than what you're willing to give, and then combine that with the fact that you don't get sit behind the desk with them and get to see any kind of reactions that you get from the customers and feeling them out, both throughout the whole, meet and greet, and you get to feel them out as you do test drives, you get to feel them out as you maybe do a silent walk around. All those things are going to be different. So I do think, one, guaranteed trade evaluators on your sites. Again, are those tricky? Are they going to be accurate? Are you willing to put those numbers on those cars? If not, pass them on to whoever gives those guarantees. I just shared a headline or a post that somebody gave to me that Carvana is no longer giving you a guaranteed purchase price. They only accept a trade-in value. So they're not out there buying it. Ron, it's the hardest thing that we deal with daily. There are enough guys in our market that will tell people ridiculous numbers to get them in the door. This is easily one of our biggest struggles. Again, maybe you're getting customers in the door. You're allowed to meet and greet and, again, facilitate a sale that way. A lot of dealerships I have in Michigan that can only, set an appointment or maybe go to the customer themselves. But man, I would grab headlines. I would grab recent transactions at MMR values, okay, and see what's going on there. And the reason why I'm going to use those headlines too is because even though MMR is showing 12, but again, a lot of no sales, 12 grand, and you're really only willing to go to 10 or 11 because you might already have 2 or 3 of them just like it on your lot. And you can't even sell them for 12. It's going to be a tricky part, and that's where communications, but openness on this whole thing is going to be the best bet to do. Any transactions you can give, book values, references to the magazines and articles, even on our end, meaning even reference auto remarketing, Ward's magazine to automotive news, those references that we use might be able to back it up more on why we're seeing these type of values on vehicles. So I know it's a tricky thing. Again, I would do everything I can to back up the data, be able to send. The other thing is I want you guys to understand, and this might be, people might be way past this because when I started doing internet in 99, 98, 1998, just hyperlinking was something cool. When you say click here to view blah, blah, blah. Have a lot of hyperlinks maybe in your emails or your text to the customers. Again, hyperlink them to articles, hyperlink them to references to validate your values. Have them do a video walk around. When they're doing a video walk around, maybe hit them back on something you caught. Hey, I noticed there was a dent. Hey, I noticed that maybe your hubcaps or your wheels look dirty. Do you have brake problems? Things like that. But you gotta make sure you get as much information to them and from them to make this as easy as possible if they're not coming to your store. I know there's other people that have better experience on this. Put them in the comments. Let people know what you're doing. Let us know if you need anything. If you like free inventory evaluation, lotpop.com. All of our video goes up on YouTube, and you can subscribe there. Because we do tons of tips, 200 plus videos on there. Hope this was helpful. John Anderson put good comments in here. Be transparent. The auto user would lean heavily on interest grade right now. That's true. Interest grade is going to be very good to be able to tell if customers are interested in that vehicle. Again, I hope this is helpful. Let us know if you need anything. Talk to you later.